Welcome back here to the show. I'm glad you're with us. Larry, Mike, and Brad. And Kedrick Prince, Director of Recruiting for IlliniGuys.com. Always busy talking to kids considering Illinois or even those who have committed. Davon Grant is out of DeKalb, Illinois, two-sport star, but committed to Brett Bielema. Wide receiver, defensive back in the class of 2026. Ked talking to him recently about his decision and, again, getting excited about coming in and wearing the orange and blue starting next year. Once again, Kedrick Prince, you heard that entire interview in podcast form on Ked's Recruiting Roundup. Find that on wherever you get your podcast. But guys, talking about, again, the recruiting, and I know, Brad, you've already put on the board, there's some guys coming in. They're already getting some visits setting up here in the early part of the season, especially some of these, the first game night, it's a Friday night, not so much kids are playing Friday nights, high school kids. But you mentioned the Western Michigan game. That's when we're going to have a lot of recruits, basketball and football, coming in. It's just amazing. Again, if you get another 8, 9, 10-win season, we've already seen recruiting increase in terms of not just the in-state kids, but even around the country. You start winning in that national profile, that's only going to improve moving forward.
I think that's really true. That's what I think they need to solidify some of the elite kids, because as we know, even the commitments they got a really nice recruiting class already committed in 2026. But we know that they're going to have to recruit these guys up through signing day. And winning in the fall is going to make it much easier. And I will say this, winning in football is going to help basketball too, because how exciting are those tailgates? How much fun are those weekends when there's 60+ thousand people there? And when you put that level of excitement around the team, the basketball recruits love coming in there too. So it's just a really cool deal here.
Yeah, and I think this is where we want to see the team. Coach has a heck of a staff there, and they have proven that they can develop players. And now you have an opportunity to improve the quality of the player that they're developing, at least from an assessment standpoint, coming into the school. I think it will be really what will define Coach Bielema's tenure here is as the recruiting goes up, the expectations go up, but you got more to win with. Maybe that's exactly what he wants.
And we've talked before about the culture here that one thing about Illinois that you don't see much of in the offseason, you don't see a ton of guys jumping into transfer portal. That's become the new thing. I can go get a check. You do get some. Josh McRae left. Don't blame him for what's happening. Crowded, but look at the guys you have there. Josh was not going to be the featured back at Illinois this fall, even though he's an outstanding talent. There are 2 or 3 guys there he's going to be fighting for time with. Go get that bag elsewhere. I think he already got his degree already. Go do your thing. But you don't see a ton of guys leaving that you're counting on. And that goes back to the culture, and not just 1 or 2 guys, but you've got 80, 90 guys buying into what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing about it is I think this is the key to this Illinois football program has been retention. I was talking to actually one of the basketball coaches. He said going forward, that's going to be the key in the basketball programs too, is retention of your current players. It's going to really help you.
Yeah, and I think Brett Bielema was one of the earliest football coaches to really emphasize that, because he figured, why go after these other players and compete with everyone when you can prevent them from leaving at least key players and keep them on your team? I think that was a huge innovation that he did.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And I think it's, as Sturdy has mentioned too, that, yeah, obviously everyone wants to get the bag as much as they can. But now that you have some parameters in place with a House settlement, the $20.5 million, again, still it's a gray area in terms of how each school is going to get that money out to players, to athletes, to student athletes. But again, it's one of those where if you can build a culture to where you don't have to go get every single dollar, that's going to be a huge difference. We're seeing that in football right now. And I think it's going to benefit this team in terms of the way they move forward. And again, Brett Bielema, the staff he's put together, exciting times right now. And I know we're going to see that starting here in a couple of weeks at Memorial Stadium. Okay, speaking of NIL, great conversation on the Eye on the Illini podcast with Mike and Greg Glass. We'll hear part of that next and some comments. So much more to come as well here on the Sports Spectacular.